Hello, everyone. Welcome on Focal Point Redefinition of Space. It is not so long time ago we found out, like Creative Europe Desk found out, that ALTA is the hosting organization of TH meeting. And I was thrilled and I really wanted to cooperate, that our desk will cooperate, because I find the tech meeting as one of most valuable and most inspiring events I've went on. So, and we agreed on the program. We offered our format, which is Focal Point, which is similar to Pecha Kucha. And we agreed on the theme, on the topic of space, which is in line with your 4 lines of a whole meeting. Space is something which is really borderless, I would say. Where actually space starts and where does it end? Does it end within the walls? Does the space includes also surrounding around the building? Is it in our heads, the space, or is it also the online space? So those topics will be the content of this event. This is not me who will talk about that. Luckily, we have 12 inspiring projects, activities, and spaces, and outstanding people who will talk about that. What can you waiting for now? It's
Co tedy vlastně teď můžete
format like Pecha Kucha.
Je to tedy formát
it will be separated in 2 parts, 6 speakers, then 1 hour of networking, and then another 6 speakers. I won't interrupt the flow.
A já ten tok myšlenek jejich nebudu přerušovat. Čili přijde jeden řečník, skončí svou prezentaci a hned po něm bude následovat další. Každý z nich bude mít 7 minut. A jakmile tedy odchází jeden řečník, přichází hned rychle další. Takže prosím vás, milí přednášející a milé přednášející, buďte prosím tak hodní a přijďte na pódium i hned, jakmile na vás přijde řada. Tak to je ode mě teď vše. Naším prvním vystupujícím bude Milota, která vystupovala včera v městské knihovně. Ta zarámuje svou prezentací celé toto setkání. Chci také pozdravit naše publikum, které nás sleduje online prostřednictvím našeho streamu, a také tu máme tlumočení, protože si přejeme, abychom tyto znalosti a poznatky předávali dále. Miloto, máš slovo. Děkuji. Ve srovnání se včerejškem mám jenom jeden jediný obrázek, takže nebude problém s klikáním. Já vlastně nemám připravený žádný projekt, o kterém chci mluvit. Já se považuji za přemýšlivého člověka. Lidé třeba se ptají, myslíte, že je čas na nějakou evropskou renesanci, protože máte evropský Bauhaus a tak dále. A já se na takové otázky vždycky dívám trošku se skepsí, říkám, no, děláte si legraci? Renesance už byla jedna, a když vezmete všechny ty věci, kterými se teď musíme prošlapávat, jako je covid a válka a všechno možné, ale když tohle všechno vezmete dohromady, tak si musíte vzít aspoň jediné ponaučení z té minulé renesance, a to je humanismus. Nevím, jak se to všechno promítne do společnosti, než se dostaneme k otázkám hospodářského růstu, ale mě to docela překvapilo, že se mě na to lidé ptají, a já myslím, že setkávání s lidmi je inspirativní, a jeden z mých známých, Andrew se jmenuje, tak je psychoterapeut a říká, kdyby lidé doteď nevěděli, co je to deprese a tak dále, tak teď už to vědí. Já přinejmenším vím, co je izolace a podobně a říkala jsem si, možná, že se sama jako urbanistka také někam posouvám. Jak budu schopná tento vztah k okolí přetavit v to, jak nakládáme s prostorem? Další myšlenka, kterou se chci podělit, je ta, že vztahy nemohou se rozvíjet bez důvěry. Během pandemie se stalo, že lidé se zaměřovali na své zaměstnání, na svou práci, na to, co dělají. Opravdu trávili svůj čas věcmi, které byly jaksi úplně nejblíž. Zaměřovali se na lidi jako takové. A spousta lidí zapomněla na to, jestli je rozdíl mezi levičáctvím a pravičáctvím.
Slovakia, even Poland. Many of them were scouts. And I am scout myself. And I was like, there's an interesting pattern. And he said, yes. What did you know, your education and growth is really important. We were always outside. We did physical work. We were told, without team, you are nothing. You cannot be isolated. And I said, this is brilliant, What if? And he said, listen, I have my clients, couples, that come to me, no matter if they are from conservative field or from progressive field, those who were part of Scouts or Sokol, the organization, physical one, tend to be the most open towards the future. And they don't tend to repeat the family pattern mistakes. And I said, this is really important. Sokol and scouting organization, and maybe there are a few more that have the same values, And from the childhood, they teach you these things. There is this nature and the death. I chose this picture because this is the only authority that really matters. No other. And those organizations really tell you that. And if you learn how to play with team, I don't have to explain what is community and what are relationships because you live it. And we need generations like that. Now it's coming back to us. It's 21st century, expenses in the cities are really high, and now you own the spaces. Maybe what we can do is look for organizations that work with young people exactly with these values. They have balance between intellect and nature, between individual and teamwork, and you offer them the spaces because they cannot really function on commercial level. Of course, you can give your child into Montessori or Waldorf, but not everybody is lucky. And we cannot have only few selected private individuals. We need generations. So if there is a message for me, like how to go into the new renaissance, I say, let it be a renaissance of humanity, of relationships, and let's start with the young ones, and maybe you can help out with that. Thank you.
Oh, I am fast, so I give you time.
Thank you. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Simona and I am head of communication here at ALTA. And today I am going to tell you a little bit more about our culture center. And I think that my starting point might be good because you are here, so you can see the place in life, and maybe more importantly, you can get a feel from the place. But Studio ALTA didn't always look like this. When we started, we rented a warehouse space in Holešovice. The space is coming in a few seconds, so you will see it. But first, Studio ALTA was just one room, this one, and we renovated this room to create a rehearsal space. So first, ALTA was just one space for rehearsals. And this was actually quite unique at the time. Now you can find many places for rehearsals at Prague, but before we were one of a few. The enthusiasm for the space was such that we quickly grew. The first redefinition of the space was when from the original rehearsal space, we created also theater. And soon after, we rented 3 more halls by never mind. So we rented 3 more halls, which were used variously for different kind of events. So we created culture center and creative hub. This was actually before my time, but they were really successful. Yeah. But unfortunately, after 11 years, we had to move. And it was mainly because of conflicts with our landlords. And you can imagine how frustrated it was when we create something like this to leave it behind and move. But we found this place in Invalidovna, which is totally different space. It's historical building, this is industrial building. And this is the picture from moving. Yeah. But as often happens in our lives, the bad things brings also the good things. And the best things on our move was that soon after COVID-19 hit, and if we would have stayed in our old space where we paid commercial rent, we could quit our organization because we couldn't afford the expenses. And you can see that we did a lot of work here. Yeah. And the new space brought a lot of changes and challenges. And the biggest one was in our dramaturgy and programming, because the spaces are totally different. There is a lot of small rooms. It's not the best place for what we did before, and it was dance and physical theater. Yeah, and you can see the best on this example. On the left side, there is our old theater in Holešovice, and on the right side, it's our theater now. So, despite of the fact that the columns looks really beautiful, you can see that it's not best place for theater, and it fits just around 45 people. So what we do now, we have to adapt to the space, and we do more small and intimate performances. We do more art exhibition, workshops, residency stays by artists, and we changed our program a little bit because of this building. But actually this was good during the COVID pandemic, because of that we could follow the rules. Because we really do small thing with a small group of spectators, so it was fine during that time. Yeah, you can see some example from our performances. And what we also do are events on our garden, and the garden is truly a big plus of Invalidovna, because through the garden we can bond relationship with our communities, we can reach more spectators, we can also promote ALTA itself, and it's totally different from us than before when we were hidden in the industrial space. So it was just short overview how ALTA looked before and how ALTA look now, to imagine how different it looks, but it's still ALTA. It's not the same because we grew, we transformed, but the core, the idea, and our values are still the same. So for me personally, ALTA it's more the idea than the space. And as some of you already know from yesterday, we have to move again to another place, which is very frustrating because we did a lot of work in here, but I think that we are ready, and we are ready to continue because we love what we do, we love our community, and it makes sense to us to take the idea to another place and bring alive the another place. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Boris Meluš. I'm from Nova Cvernovka, from Bratislava, Slovakia, and my presentation is about cultural and creative center and its ambition to become a laboratory of sustainable district, and about what we are doing now and what we plan to do. It's located in an area of mixed use in Slovakia, in Bratislava, part of Nové Mesto. It's around 15 minutes from the city center by tram. Some people say it's too far. Those who live in big cities know that it's nothing. And as you can see, it's a kind of mixed-use area where you have residential areas, brownfields, 2 train stations, which is really strange in one place, and a lot of oh, now we skipped the frame. Okay, a lot of kind of different type of housing, and also, as you can see, the mountains and the vineyards are quite nearby. So there's a lot of opportunities for us how to connect to all these things. And when we say it's similar to the Alta situation. We moved to Nova Cvernovka from Old Cvernovka. I'm not going to talk about that, but it was quite frustrating to move, but then in the end we found out that it's great, so you should not be afraid of that. And at this point it's around 400 users of these 2 buildings, around 100 studios. We have 5 stages for the cultural events, which have different capacities, outside, indoors and outdoors. And this is like the facade of, I would say, the public knows us mostly for the cultural events. And for the studios as well, of course, but this is like somehow more closed because you cannot really get there during the normal days. Although we are organizing each year the 1st of May, which is the day of the open studios, and this year around 5,000 people are out, visited the whole campus. And before pandemic, it was almost around 9,000. From the very beginning, the topic of sustainability was in the core DNA of the transformation of the campus. So this is an image from a climate exhibition, Volba 2050.world. You can check it also online. It means Volba means choice in Slovak. And the idea was that we now have a choice, and all the small choices we are going to make will shape how the world will look like in 2050. And this is an example of our project, which I think really shows nicely what the thinking of sustainability can be. That when we came there, we have to really quickly renovate, and we made a big pile of rubble behind the building. And for 3 years, we didn't know what to do, but we knew that we don't want to just throw it away somewhere. So we came up with a project of how to actually sort it, transform it into materials, and then make this public park out of it, where you can walk, which is water permeable, and we really saved a lot of money and energy by using the materials which were trash before. Now we are developing the park further for the public functions. For example, we built a sauna, which should be more also accessible to the public, but right now it's more for the studios. And playground, workout field, and there are also parts which are not that accessible to the public, only those who really want to attend. And it's important part of I would say, the whole ecology of the campus. And it's community garden and urban farming. It's all connected in a kind of sense, I would say, through the composting. Because the local bistro and the bars, they produce some kind of waste, which you can put to compost. You have all the biomaterials from the campus itself. You mix it all together, then you make the soil or the humus that you use in the community garden. Then you grow food there. You use it back in the bistro or in the bar. So this is like a small circularity circle. And what is also important as for example, biodiversity, that we try not to cut all the grass to these thin English lawns, or how you call them. We try to use hand cutting with the scythe and just locally, not everything to the same level so the insects can move around. And when we say Campus Nova Cvernovka, what does it mean? The most prominent part is the Creative and Cultural Center. That's the first building. It was a former school. Then the second building is a former dormitory, which is a gym, which we are now running in a test mode as a dance residence center, and then the dormitory itself. And for all of the buildings, we are planning like what to do with them for the future, because right now they're from the 60s, 50s of the last century, and they're in terms of environmental efficiency or energetic efficiency, they are crazy. It's like you are paying the tanks in Russia from just heating them up. So basically, we have a lot of different approaches: high-tech, low-tech, low-cost, high-cost for each situation, and it's kind of like we are implementing what we can at this point. But we also are looking for the funding and for the models of financing these kind of transformations. And these are, for example, examples for the school building, where we want to preserve the kind of architectural qualities of the building. And this is an example of a project we just finished for the dormitory building. We call it Center for Metropolitan Innovation. And the reason for that is it's mixing several types of functions. It's a co-housing, rental housing for community functions, then a social innovation hub for NGOs or other social innovators, creative studios, public services such as kindergarten or community center for elderly or for the people living around. And the main thing or the main goal is that this will be the first Energy Plus building in Slovakia. And we want to do that through regenerative transformation of the building itself, so meaning that we want to keep as much of the solid state of the building inside and really transform it into a passive building with this new studios on the top, with northern lights, but then on the south roofs you will have electricity, a solar power plant basically. So, and we see Nova Cvernovka as a kind of, so testing a lot of approaches to the topics of urban living in terms of sustainability and ecology, and also it can be the heart of the redevelopment of this whole neighborhood, which is really kind of staying in the past, and also being a kind of lighthouse for any further use like this in the future. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Yeah, hello. Thank you for the invitation. I want to tell you something about this old film factory. We occupied this in '79 and built it up to an international center for culture, for ecological things, for social things, and for economical things. And we live there with 35 people, but we have more than 200 working places on our space and outside, more than 300 in kindergartens, school stations, and so on. So we developed very much in the last 43 years. We need some new foils. It was only... Is it running? Okay, well, I tell. Okay, and my part in Uferfabrik is the ecological part, and I worked much in that theme in the 19s. We install solar we install solar panels and so on. Climatization with plants is a very interesting theme. Also bioconstruction and so on. And these, I only can show you some because of the 7 minutes. I have to make 10% of my slides, but okay. Yeah, this is also a point. We have a very big diversity in our themes. We worked, for example, with renewable materials, with wood, with clay, with straw, flax, sheep wool, and paper recycling materials to insulate our buildings in the 19s. Okay, here's an example. When you have problem with a frequency in your room, you can make a wall. The thickness of the wall is a quarter of the wavelength, and then you can lower the frequency inside, or the noises inside, very, very much. And for this we used this material inside. Outside we put a big wall. We made metal grids from the construction area, and put waste inside, construction waste inside, and earth, and plants outside, and it's a very good noise reducing for the neighbors. And here everybody said to me, Werner, your ecological projects are shit because they are so expensive. And then I showed that every thing what we did bring benefits. So solar power, for example, we got 50,000 kilowatt hours from the sun, for example, or here a cogeneration system where the motor turns a generator and we make many energies. This is a future project. I tested it in an eco-village outside of Ufa, and you can shit inside, yeah, with a special system, and you can make light, you can cook, you can make hot water, and so on. Also, we save rainwater, about 2 million liters a year, and use the rainwater for flushing the toilets and the green. Here's some places in Berlin, some you will know, and there was the problem of heating because, for example, it was this one, it was 24 meters high, and it was not possible to heat it in winter, and so we installed this gas dark flame. I don't know in English. There's a U, and you shoot a gas flame in, and it radiates, and you feel like you are in the mountains, 0 degrees around, and you take off your clothes and lay in the sun. Okay, and cooling system with plants is a very interesting thing. This is looking normal, but you heat the surrounding, and when you make plants on your wall, you heat not the surrounding, you cool the surrounding, because the plants evaporate water, and every square meter evaporate 10 liters of water, and that means 7 kilowatt hours cooling energy. And in 2016, we destroyed 350 square kilometers of rainforest. And when you calculate this by this 7 kilowatt hours per square meter, you got an amount that is more than all atomic devices in Germany could produce. That is what we destroy. Okay, then this we couldn't do any longer, use the nature to build our houses. So we use renewable materials, straw. We make a straw building house in Uferfabrik. It's not now an office for education. And yeah, we worked with many students together. Also in Spain, we did establish this kind of building materials. And yeah, the new project is in the old harbor of Tempelhof. We have a circus wagon and make 24 different themes in workshops for children. And here this is the last foil I want to show you. In 1990, we made a political tour through Germany with our samba group and circus and so. It's not so important, but what's here written is very important, so that the climate does not become a disaster in 1990. So we have to do something now. Okay, bye.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aleš Lziak. I'm from Ústí nad Labem, Czech Republic. I'm representative of Hraničář, which is former cinema hall, which was built in 20s in last century. I would like to present you a few projects and a few ideas for the future of our activities. We are a non-government association, and we are here since 2014. We have a very huge program full of culture, events, and activities. Our dramaturgy is based on a long-term project with social, and we are focused mostly on social topics, mostly with environmental and social topics. Few posters from last project, like Solar City, which was dedicated to architecture, or Shy on the right side, which was dedicated to Shy. This year we have project called Gamification, and it's dedicated to we deal with how is the system of video games applied to real world, especially in big companies and organizations. Through our cultural program, we cooperate with a lot of institution initiatives, individuals, and state and government institutions, not only in Ústí but also in whole Czech Republic, as well as in abroad. We focus on every social group from 0+ until 1990+. We also working with the schools, pupils, students, experts, and politicians. This is a view from publishing one of our outputs from the project Solar City. It is a book guider which guides you through the architecture of Ústí nad Labem during the 1948 until 1989, and it was published here in Prague in ArtMap publish house. Last project called Light, and it was dedicated to light noise in the cities. And one of the special events which we realized was walking through the city. This is a regular program which we do each month. We do interesting people. We try to attention to some interesting places in the city. But in this project, we try to go through the city like a blinder. So we cooperate on it with the association who deal with this physical. This is another project which we do with cooperation with the city of Ústí nad Labem. It's called Forget Heritage, and it's based on the big projection on the pavement of the entrance to the Hraničář. The projection are inspired by history and heritage of Ústí nad Labem. We change it every 2 or 3 months, and we always invited artists not only from Czech but as well as from abroad. Another project which we are preparing for this autumn will deal with almost abandoned building called Korzo, which is situated in Krásné Březno neighborhood in city of Ústí. And the city of Ústí preparing a purpose for reconstruction of this building, but there is no public discussion with the local people how it should look. So our activities will be focused on to initiate this public debate with the local people, experts, and of course politicians, and to talk together how this place can be reconstructed and for which appearance. I will go back to our building, which came from the 90s, from last century. It's almost 100 years old. And we are in rent. We have a long-term agreement with the owner, which is a private film distribution company from Prague. But we have very short notice, so we can go every day, kick off and go out. But now we would like to buy this house too and find and collect money for big reconstruction, which the house very needs. And now we are in the situation that we define it, our idea, our vision, what we would like to have from this building. We are working on it with one architectural studio from Prague. What we know is that the current disposition of former cinema hall is completely unsatisfactory, and we are waiting for, or we are looking for a new way of art presentation and cultural program. What we want from this house is unique architecture, which is very significant for Ústí nad Labem. What we also know that we need some space which is very flexible and can be very fast changeable to current situation, because we do a lot of cultural program for small community meetings until very big events like cinema screening, workshops, etc. We also established several months ago a new platform which called creativní.uk. It's also online website, and with several people from several important institutions from Ústí, we try to find a new way how to systematically and sustainably support cultural creative field in the region. We made a lot of meetings, debates, visits, also a few conferences about these topics, and I'm very happy because this activity has first very positive outputs. It's 2 weeks ago what we signed a memorandum about cooperation in order to support the cultural creative field in our region, and the subjects who signed this contract or this memorandum is region of Ústí nad Labem, University of Young Evangelista Purkyně in Ústí, government agency Czech Invest, which support industry, innovation center of Ústí, and Hraničář. And now we are together preparing a big 5-year project for supporting the creative fields in Ústí. And we would like to submit it to Just Transition Fund and National Plan of Resurrection here in Czech Republic. And I would like to say goodbye through this image, which is our magazine, which we publish every year. Thank you very much, and I will be more than happy if you visit Ústí and Hraničář. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm really happy to be here, especially in Trans-Europe Halls, because the story which is connected with Krenovka, but also with Ponec and Tanec Praha, which I am representing, is very connected with Trans-Europe Halls, because Filip Gromber, one of co-founders of this network, was writing me a letter in 1998 to support the project of Ponec dance venue, and we've got it. And after that, we opened it 20 years ago, and we are still running this space. Krenovka, stop it, let's come back for the first slide. Krenovka is a building which is next door to Ponec, and it's the building which is protected as a historical monument. They were part of Prague connection railways, and you see how it looked half a year ago, and it was really not reconstructed, it was not ready, but the owner of this building, which is Sudop Real, is the company which is making a lot of transport infrastructure, and they are having a fantastic tradition, and in this tradition they really wanted to make something for the arts. And the building which was before serving to print tickets for train and was the background for the train and railway stations is now under reconstruction, and it finished yesterday. And they start to make there these fantastic rooms. So let's look at it. This is how they built our new dance studio with a very, very good dance floor. There was the entrance and art hub, which we saw before. We can continue now. Here, can we go on? No? Oh, it's video. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I will react to that when it appears again. This is our dream, which we really made happen, because dance studio was something what the theater needs, and we never had it. And you see how nice is the building from the other side, where is this fantastic porch, which is protected by as a historical monument, and it's going through the whole building very, very far away. And we have the end of this building, and what the owner proposed to us, and not only us, is to build their community and art center, which will be open next week, basically. And we go through these corridors around the different rooms where will be some ateliers for visual artists, there will be some space for our offices, of course, there will be this dance studio with a fantastic floor, and under us, the Unijazz, which is the music club, will start to work because they left the space in Jindřišská a few years ago, and looking at this fantastic building, you can see that it's kind of gentrification of this area. It's kind of new life we are giving there. So this is the space of Unijazz, and they will open this cafe and music club very soon. On 18th of June will be the first event there. And because we want to work together, music, visual arts, and dance, our plan is to really make common events. Like, for example, on 22nd of June, we will do a specific opening of Landscape Festival, and we work with the whole area around and animate it, and our aim is also to make their focus Ukraine. And now we speak to the owner that we should really build in one of the rooms or two of the rooms there a specific community center for Ukrainian artists, because we are connected with minimum 10 dance artists and some other visual artists and musicians, and we really want to give them some basic space for next year to work together. So this is one of the aim of this new cultural and community center, but of course not only Ukraine, because you see these are the spaces of our new offices. It's a dream for us because we never had a real fantastic office, and we were all the time renting some space which was very expensive. What is very nice from the owner, Studio ALTA company, is that they give to all of us, musicians, visual artists, and us, all of this space for non-commercial rent. And the contract is now for 10 years, and they really want to keep it going as an art center. I also wanted to mention that this company, which came to us because they are visiting Tanec Praha Festival and Ponec Theater, and they love what we are doing, is also awarded by Construction of the Year award because they made this flyover Masaryk station, which was in 2008 open and made the totally new railway from main station in Prague to Holešovice. So this is the company which has a very long story, and you don't see so many people who are enlightened by art and ready to invest in the art, because the whole investment in this building was done by the owner. But in the end, and the story is really with the happy end, we've got the funds from European Economic Area, EEA funds, so we can finish the reconstruction. The whole floor in the studio is built thanks to these funds because it's very expensive, but a specific floor, as you see here, a very specific construction for dancers. And then also some of the furniture and some of the technological equipment we can also pay from these kind of Norway and Liechtenstein and Iceland funds. So we are very happy with this support from European Economic Area, and we have to tell that it will start next week. The first rehearsing there will be Ukrainian artists, and we hope that we will have it for open space like Alta was working before for dancers. Now we can continue, and it's true that it's not the only dream we have, because we are used to develop spaces and different conditions for contemporary dance in our country. And one of our dreams is the real dance house in Prague, which we still don't have. We have a theater, we have now the studio, but 200 meters from us is another building, which is an old spa. And there we want to build a real dance house. So this is our project of dance house, which we want to use from the recovery fund of European money. And in 2025, maybe, we can meet there and celebrate good conditions for contemporary dance in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. The first set of speakers is over. I would like to thank Milota, Simona Rybová from Alta, Prague, Boris Meluš from Nová Cvernovka, Slovakia, Werner from UFA Fabrik, Aleš from Hraničář, Ústí nad Labem, and Ivona from Krenovka. So please use the time for networking. The speakers are here. We'll be back at 4 o'clock. Welcome back to the second set of inspiration. Welcome back in safe and dry space. I'll pass immediately my mic to our first speaker, Tomáš.
Hey everyone. So, my name is Tomáš Kozelský. I'm very pleased to be around you today. I'm a co-founder, one of 3 founders of architectural studio Koga. We're founded in Brno. Now we're also partially in Prague. And basically our main aim is architecture urbanism, but we have one huge topic. And the topic is adaptive reuse, how you can actually work with the old buildings. We are like approximately 70% of what we are doing these days is related with this issue. Here I chose one of the three of our projects which are kind of awarded and quite famous. So the first one we can see is a distillery. We called it a social reactor because it was an empty building and we're like trying to find what the society around needs. In the middle you can see a Kunst. This is like a creative hub we did for South Moravian Innovation Region. And on the right side, this is not a cultural function, but it's called Dada District. It's a residential restoration of basically storage space, also in Brno. And we just got the award for the architecture for this project. Beside of the architecture, we worked for 5 years running Brno Design Days. But since we are having the topic of the adaptive reuse, we were using purely the buildings which were before the restoration, so we were always showing them in the kind of original state. Next to that, we are also having academical courses, so we're teaching always at least one semester a year around the Czech faculties of architecture. What I'm going to talk about today is actually not a cultural project. It is rather gastro, which you can find actually a few hundred meters away from here. It's a roastery called Grounds, hidden in the street of Šaldova, literally a few hundred meters. And for us, this was like a really pure redefinition of a space designing, actually. It's a project that happened like few days after the COVID crisis started, and we had these friends who were like experienced cafe owners, and they started building a new spot in a new city at the moment when gastro was the most endangered profession ever. This is the beginning. This is one of our Brno Design Days that happened in 2017, and why I'm showing you this picture, this is like the origin of the material. That was a big topic for all grounds because we basically used 90% of like a reused material. So what you can see here is basically the catwalk. There was like a bar, there was the entrance. After the week of Brno Design Days ended, we collected the wood and we used it for adapting one space inside of distillery. So 2017, distillery is opening their co-work, and you can see all the material used around here. 2017 till 2020, is basically a time when we are having here tenants, and later on the distillery is ending the contract, it's being closed, and we have plenty of material right at the beginning of the COVID. We were addressed by the guys, by the owners of grounds, actually to design the space, but they were like, hey guys, but we are like seemingly having a problem. We need maybe a cafe, but maybe they're gonna close it. We're also doing a roasting, but maybe our clients are gonna close, and we don't know if we're gonna be roasting further. But we're repairing a coffee machine, so we hope we're gonna maintain this business. We're also bringing the machines into the country. so we can maybe just having a sell space, or it would be good maybe even to have the offices there, maybe we can rent them. So this is the moment when we started. We knew that we want to kind of like build the center box where we're going to make some space, maybe for a cafe, maybe for the bar, maybe for roasting itself, maybe for machines. This kind of moment was basically about creating the spaces around. So we were creating 5 different spaces, each of them of slightly different size or slightly different importance. And there was a time when we started spending our time as architects directly in the spot. And that was the same for the coffee makers who were kind of like without any work. So this is my colleague, an architect, this is the owner, this is his barista. And this is the moment when we're like developing at the size of a table. This is a cast, and these are their concrete tables which they are using right now. It was casted directly by the guys. From us was the assignment, make a layering, you know, make it look like a piece of a ground. And that was their time spent like during the time when there was no function for them, so learning how to design. The black hands, what you see on the right side next to it, this was the hands of the owner at the moment when he was kind of cleaning up the chimney. This is the look through the main space. A very important part is the bar, because the bar can be put aside, it's on the wheels, and you can create a space where they can be preparing the baristas for the world tours, because this is a hub where top Czech coffee is, or baristas are preparing for international competitions. The staircase, so we would never be able to kind of like really play and design this kind of weird, crazy hanging staircase in the space if our blacksmiths wouldn't be at the moment without the work. And he actually had the time to come for a week and like spend a week there with us. And he was like, hey guys, I have an amazing idea how to actually hang it so you don't need a column in the space. So that's why we're hanging in here. And at the moment when we're like realizing it together, we're always working a lot with the greenery. And what you can see around first become like a little forest that we wanted to use as a sheltering between this upper office space and things that are running downstairs, where is the coffee, the bar, and basically the roasting. But actually, it started generating the moment when the people were coming inside and they're like, hey, you have plenty of greenery here. Are you selling? So now they do. They start selling a greenery. One of the spaces which they were not using, it was designed as a part of a production. They turn it into a plant production. So they are buying a lot of plants, they are replanting them, they are like slowly getting their own pottery. And this is the last picture. What you can see is basically the latest picture they have on their Instagram. So you can see this is, actually, there's so many things other to say about it, but it's much faster than I wanted to. But anyway, if you want to experience it in a possible best way, just 300 meters away from here, Šaldova, I guess 46, in a little yard. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hi, my name is Anna. I'm representing here Art for the City program. In Czech, it's called Umění pro město, which is a new program for systematic support for art in public space. This program is kind of divided into 2 parts. One is for permanent art and one is for temporary art. So I will start with the permanent one. The program started in like 2016-17 when the City Hall, Prague City Hall, decided to give some money to for some financial support for art in public space, the permanent one. And we started later in 2019 with the new political government, let's say. We started writing down the program itself, you know, the methodology, the rules, which are not really binding, but they show us what kind of way we should approach it, the art in public space, because we didn't have anything like this here before. So we are kind of new, and we are trying to find different ways how to approach it. And here you will see some examples. I won't necessarily talk about them that much. Here are some examples of, for example, competitions we organize. And the financial support is either for acquisition of artworks or organizing competitions for new artworks in public space. We actually started writing it down with the City Gallery of Prague and the Institute of Urban Planning. Well, the thing is how it actually works is that the city has the money, and the money need to stay in the city. So we only can give it to city investors. So we are mainly cooperating with the city districts or some organizations run by the city, which can kind of apply for these funds. And we are trying to, gain new artworks through the competitions. That's what we support the most. Here you see some of the results of the competitions. But yeah, the thing is that it kind of takes some time. So we haven't done anything in the public space yet which would be permanent, because having a permanent statue or something like that, it almost takes a certain amount of time, like building a house. Then we also established a committee which is advising the city council, like which projects to support or not to support, or we can also talk to applicants and say, like, you should do it this way, this might be better, this is following the methodology we actually created, so this is the best way, and then we kind of support it financially. Oh, this is one example of our very first competition. Here you see the result, but the result wasn't taken very well by the public, and neither did the politicians, so there were quite a big fights about that. So in the end, it was just put on hold, and we don't know if it's ever going to happen. So this is one disadvantage, that these projects always need a political support. That's the disadvantage, and that takes me to the second part of the program, which is the temporary art in public space, which is run by the City Gallery of Prague. So it means, yeah, the Prague City Hall has to support us with the money, but still we have, let's say, more free hands than if we talk about the permanent art. So we do this temporary art interventions in public space. And we also cooperate with a lot of organizations run by the city, but also not really run by the city and others. We started in 2020. This is the Transportation Company of Prague. We had this exhibition in Prague City Underground. And for example, these are actually things which already were done before, and we're just putting them in a public space, trying to find new ways how they can fit there. So one of the most important things for us is that we don't take just a statue and put it somewhere in a public space because we think it's nice, but it has to have a meaning, right? We also run open calls, competitions for the temporary art. And for example, this one is when we try to focus on suburban areas in Prague, because we all know, like in the city center, we are overwhelmed by everything, so we don't need that many new stuff in the center, so we try to focus more on the suburban areas. And it also allows us to work with communities there, with people living there. People can participate, and it's not just about putting somewhere a nice statue, but it's about performances, artworks, workshops, etc. For example, this is an open gallery. Okay, that one is in the center, but it's an open city gallery which started in COVID. Obviously, all of the galleries were closed, so we wanted to bring the art to the public, basically for free. But here, this is really a gallery, but sometimes there are projects which allow us, I don't know, to communicate with the community there, and you had the shelves where you could put some stuff and someone else can take them. And also during COVID, the City Hall decided to fund us a bit more, especially for mural paintings, because in Prague there are not that many of them. And yeah, I thought it was another one, but whatever. So we do a lot of mural paintings, but sometimes it's tricky because that's a new field for us as a Prague City Gallery, because we didn't really do anything like that, and sometimes we did a mural painting, but the community around the graffiti scene didn't really like it, so they decided to show us, right? But we are trying to find ways how to operate in this kind of field. For example, that was a really interesting case of open call for Dovecote. I won't talk much about how the city deals with pigeons, but it's not nice. So we decided, in cooperation with the Prague City District number 3, to have an open call for Dovecote. So that was one of them. And here you see other workshops or art interventions in the suburban area, for example. So we basically do a lot of stuff during the year. I think the best is to follow us on our social media. There you can learn what we do in general, because there are a lot of them. Oh, for example, this is one of the last exhibitions which supported Ukrainian artists who are actually being now in Ukraine. And yeah, we had this exhibition. So that's basically it. And if you're interested more in what we do, you can just talk to me after. And thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us. And my presentation is called How Not to Be a Football Player But Still Make It to the World's Largest Football Stadium. So before I start, is there someone just because of the name? No, okay. It was a clickbait. I'm not going to talk about football at all. And maybe quite surprisingly, I'm not going to talk about documentary films as well, because admit it, documentary film just doesn't sound sexy at all, right? Is there anyone who has ever been on a date with a girl or boy to see a documentary film? Oh, really? Good for you, because it has never happened to me. This presentation is going to
to se mně nikdy nestalo, to vám gratuluju. Tohle je projekt, který bych vám rád představil, který dělám se svým týmem a děláme to naplno a snažíme se to dělat co nejlíp. A ono je to tak, že někdy to děláte pro tisíce, někdy to neděláte pro tisíce nebo stovky lidí, někdy to neděláte ani pro desítky lidí, co se týká promítání dokumentárních filmů. Ta prezentace se týká sdílení zážitků, vytváření zážitkového divadla. A snažíme se dělat takovou komunitní distribuční platformu, která se snaží o distribuci nejlepších dokumentárních filmů mimo tradiční síť kin. Ten Kinedoc projekt je podporován Institutem dokumentárního filmu a je tam několik set míst, která se propojují v evropských oblastech v různých evropských zemích, včetně třeba, kromě střední Evropy, teď třeba nejnověji i Gruzie. Co se týká našeho obecenstva, tak jsou to vlastně všichni lidé, řekněme to tak. Chceme oslovit každého, kdo si chce podívat na kvalitní dokumentární film a užít si to. Jsou to třeba knihovny, jsou to komunitní zahrady, kavárny a tak dále a tak dále. Dokonce jsme si vytvořili i naše jaksi místně specifické prostory, které jsou mimo naše sociální bubliny a snažíme se dotáhnout dokumentární film do takových míst, která byste si úplně třeba nespojovali s dokumentárním filmem. Protože víme, že do kin chodí čím dál méně lidí, tak se snažíme to promítání zorganizovat na místech, která by vás třeba ani nenapadla, že třeba jste o nich možná do té doby ani nevěděli. A chceme se běhnout tomu tradičnímu rámci, kdy prostě přitáhnete někoho do kina, usadíte ho do křesla a on se dívá. Tady je několik příkladů těch nejrůznějších míst mimo naše sociální bubliny. Jinak tady bude na domě Radost, což je jedna z nejstarších funkcionalistických budov přímo v Praze, tak tam bude několik našich projekcí, včetně. Dokonce se nám podařilo, když jsme to dělali tohle asi poprvé, tak jsme si dobře trefili s tím načasováním. Týkalo se to totiž dokumentárních filmů o přistání na Měsíci a bylo to několik dní po startu Richarda Bransona, když vystartoval tady s Virgin Galactic a bylo to vlastně 2 dny předtím, než se slavilo 52. výročí přistání na Měsíci. Takže jsme to spojili s tím, že tam bylo setkání s popularizátory astronomie a podobně a dobývání vesmíru, takže to byl asi zážitek pro naše publikum. Druhá důležitou aktivitou, kterou děláme s Kinedocem, je vzdělávání nebo osvěta. Snažíme se vzdělávat manažery jednotlivých míst a organizujeme pro ně workshopy. Jsou pojaty tak, aby jim umožnili správně popsat a definovat ten prostor, jak oslovit správně publikum, jak třeba připravit i úvod k nějakému filmu, jak vyhledávat hosty, jak připravit potom třeba debatní část toho večera po promítání. To jsou ty věci, kterými se tedy zabýváme v té naší vzdělávací části. A týká se to jednak tedy nových, tak i těch stávajících míst, kde se filmy promítají. Někdy třeba se stane, že si student chce v rámci nějakého svého programu vytvořit klub, filmový klub při studiu a podobně. A samozřejmě fungujeme jako koordinátor těch projektů. Aspoň jednou za rok se snažíme setkat fyzicky na nějakém obvykle festivalu filmů dokumentárních. A těch 7 zemí, které jsem zmínil předtím, tak to jsou ty, s nimiž se tedy setkáváme. Týká se to také online prostoru. Jsem rád, že se nám podařilo ve spolupráci s našimi mezinárodními partnery vytvořit jisté strategie, jak oslovovat publikum, které muselo být uzavřeno doma a nemohlo zkrátka chodit fyzicky na místa promítání, což je součást našeho projektu. Už se pomalu dostávám k závěru své prezentace a než mi začnete vyčítat, že jsem tam vlastně do té prezentace nezahrnul vůbec nic o fotbale, pokud vás ten titul nalákal, tak bych se rád vrátil na začátek. Kinedoc je věc, nebo projekt, který se týká aktivity, která možná není pro tisíce, možná ne pro stovky, dokonce někdy ani pro desítky diváků. Ale pro nás je důležité, že to je pro skupiny a jednotlivce, kteří chtějí měnit své životy tím, že zažijí něco jiného, než by zažili v tradičních kinech. Myslím, že to je velice důležité. Možná by to byla i rada vůči vám, kdo máte něco podobného a možnosti třeba realizovat takovéto programy. Spojte se s Kinedocem a nabídněte lidem nezapomenutelný zážitek. Vždycky otevírejte dveře a nikdy je nezavírejte. Nevíte, kdo do nich vstoupí a nebudou to tisíce, asi ani stovky lidí. Možná budete pár desítek lidí, že to přijde, kteří přijdou na vaši akci, ale budou to lidé, kteří se nebudou bát vstoupit do pootevřených dveří. A to je přesně naše obecenstvo. Mělo by to být i vaše obecenstvo, protože člověk nikdy neví, kdo je tím, kdo z ničeho nic vstoupí do dveří a uvědomí si, že je na největším fotbalovém stadionu, přestože není vůbec fanouškem fotbalového týmu, aby zjistil, že tam třeba je pár fajn lidí, kteří si opékají busty a přitom se dívají na dobrý film. Díky za pozornost. Dobré odpoledne, já jsem Adam Langer a přišel jsem k vám ze Sladovny z Písku, což je galerie pro děti. Tolik bych vám toho chtěl říct, ale budu moci říct si jenom něco. Jsme galerie pro děti v Písku, kde je počet obyvatel, tedy ve městě, kde je počet obyvatel asi 30 000. Počet návštěvníků Sladovny je asi 60 000, to znamená 2x populace celého města za rok. A obvykle děláme tak 10 výstav a kombinujeme výstavy umělecké nebo umění se vzděláváním. A chci vám něco říci o laboratoři kreativity, což je jedna z našich aktivit. Začínáme tam s takovým prostorem, kde děti mohou experimentovat a mohou tam dělat nejrůznější věci. Je to něco jako kreativní hub pro děti. Začali jsme tématy toho, co je vlastně více umění a co je více už něčím jiným. Tady jsou třeba 2 místnosti, kdy se třeba jedním prostorem vyne myšlenka soustředěného výtvarného projevu a v tom druhém je třeba možnost jet na skateu a přitom tvořit linii, přitom tvořit čáru na zdi. Tohle je příběh naší laboratoře, který je veden myšlenkou, že děti si budou moci hrát a zkrátka dělat si plnit si tady své sny. Připravovali jsme tehdy festival před covidem o vodě nebo věnovaný tématu vody a 2 dny před začátkem festivalu najednou přišel covid a bylo po všem. Pak se nám podařilo proměnit to v něco jako uměleckou rezidenční program a pak jsme zažili spoustu věcí a rozhodli jsme se ten program nezrušit, ale udělat to za zavřenými dveřmi. Tak jsme pozvali lektory Sladovny, kteří s námi spolupracují dlouhodobě a chtěli jsme, aby na tom tématu pracovali, protože jsou to lidé, kteří mají vždycky plnou hlavu nápadů a spoustu zkušeností. A po několika týdnech, kdy byla tedy sladovna zavřená, jsme mohli znovu otevřít a ten prostor jsme připravili tak, aby byl skvěle přichystaný pro návštěvníky. A děti tam mohly potom pracovat na tématu vody, rozpracovávat ho. A po půl roce jsme udělali výstavu zaměřenou právě na téma vody. A ti návštěvníci tehdejší byli vlastně součástí toho autorského týmu. Líbilo se to nám, líbilo se to jim a překvapilo nás, že děti velice zajímalo právě to, o čem se tam bavili a to, že se mohou...
The next laboratory is about Johann Amos Comenius, what's a quite new thing now, and we were 7 main authors, and we prepared the space with the informations what we had or the point of views, and we were developing or looking for a way how to explain the Johann Amos Comenius like the person and his thinking. So we were traveling through the Czech Republic and through the places where he lived and works, and then we bring the inspiration to this laboratory. And also we invited again the people and the children who could give their more impulses and where they can work on it. And also part of this laboratory was also the festival FUK, what was there in Dogs, what is about the education and the art. And we just also took these experiences to somehow project it in that space. And what happened after that it was also the artistic residency for the festival, what's with the same topic, and visitors had the chance to meet the artists there in a real time and work with them. And after that we installed the exhibition, what is something like the path through the building, and this laboratory is also part of it, part of this program. And for a festival with the same topic, these artists from the Poland, from the Holland, from the Slovenia and many more countries, and also from Czech Republic, we try to connect them with the locals artists and local peoples who were interested to work on it. So it was great impulse for the whole city, what is quite small city, but we will live with this experience for a long time and we want to continue with it. And the most important thing is that this space is open for everyone, and it's something like the heart of the Sladovna, and children can really come there and be part of the program or to work and develop the program of this topic. And the next topic will be probably, we don't know yet, but it will start in the laboratory, and maybe it will be really empty space, and we will maybe talk with the children what topic it could be, and we want really to start from the beginning, like without the decision what topic is important. So that's it. Thank you very much. It's very, very hard to explain, but I can invite you just come to Sladovna and see it, and maybe you can decide which next exhibition will be. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm Zuzana. I was supposed to be here with my colleague Gordana, who's ill, so she's unfortunately not here. I'm speaking on behalf of the entire team of Brunnenpassage that is here. It's Brunnenpassage, basically since opening its doors in 2007, it operates as a laboratory and venue for transcultural and participatory art. It is strategically located in Vienna's 16th district, so outside of the center at the Brunnenmarkt and market area that is characterized by a high percentage of residents with migration backgrounds and low income. We offer daily program ranging from performance to dance to theater to exhibitions and film. The program is open to all on a pay-as-you-can basis, so if you can afford it, please contribute. If not, then please don't and participate for free. We take the social plurality of Vienna's population as a starting point and aim to foster an art practice that allows complex perspectives and is critical to discrimination and exclusion mechanisms that are present. And the participatory productions emerge from the daily relationship with the neighborhood, and often in co-creation with local communities, with professional artists. For us, these relationships and partnerships start within the team. The diversity in the team is essential and the very basis. It's also important there are ongoing trainings and learning also within the team. The program changes daily. It's all happening in one relatively small space, also in the public square that is very close by. And it takes place in multiple languages, and there are lots of cooperations with the local initiatives and communities in the neighborhood. It kind of starts with easy entry formats, which are super important and the basis for the work, like, for example, picnic, where people simply come together and eat breakfast every first Sunday in the month, or offering spaces for celebrations, like the Newroz like Persian New Year or Kwanzaa Fest. Many formats are participatory on multiple levels. They are what we call kind of touch and go formats that are workshops that you don't need any prior knowledge. You just come, you don't need to register. For example, there is Saturday dance every Saturday, a dance workshop, always different dance style, you just participate. And other formats are what we call grab and grow, which you enter into a rehearsal process, weekly meetings, and in the end there is a performance or a showing. And in some cases, people from the neighborhood become protagonists of art productions, be it exhibition or theater pieces. And these are very important alliances also in terms of content of the work. And while we are rooted in the neighborhoods, from the beginning it's also part of the concept to cooperate with large cultural institutions as well, with an aim for redistribution and changing kind of culture policy. Initially it was about giving formats a greater visibility on the larger stages, but after more than 10 years of work, it wasn't really sustainable enough, because even though great, it was usually on a project basis, it was temporary, it ended very quickly, and it stayed on this level of nice outreach initiative of the institutions. So it was important for us to find working methods that have a sustainable impact beyond collaborating, and find this experimentation for a shift in the culture sector in terms of critical diversity. So in 2017, we entered with some of these institutions into a what we called strategic partnership, kind of demanding a commitment for a minimum of 3 years, and collaborating beyond project basis, signing a letter of intent in kind of a contract, and having accompanying evaluation of the process. So it's about this co-production of unequal partners. It's about centralized versus decentralized, highly subsidized versus less subsidized, traditional versus transcultural, and ticketing oriented versus pay as you can. It's quite a long process, and but also really towards this lasting change, also changing the personnel, changing the structures. So some of these goals are to gain more visibility both ways and break with the elitist aesthetics that are in place, and reflecting on power differences, and building an awareness for the so-called white spots in the institutions, and structural change on the long run. So here in the background are running some examples that are cooperations with institutions where it was happening in our space, but also in those spaces, and out of a long-term process. So work builds on these strong alliances and partnerships, with the neighborhoods, artists on the margins, with activist initiatives, as well as the highly subsidized and often highly exclusive institutions. This is one example that is right now current. It's an cooperation with the Musikverein, which is like the most traditional, and there's going to be a performance in the Golden Hall, which is the hall where the New Year's concert is happening with 2,000 seats, so it's quite crazy. But it's now we're reaching out to different communities in the languages of the singers that are going to arrange their own music. And yeah, 7 minutes are very short. We have, if anyone is more interested, there is also a book where a lot of our practice and methods is explained. And thank you for listening.
Hi. Hello. Hi, I see Marissa's here. Is anyone from Hearth here? Marissa, could I put you on the spot to come to talk for 30 seconds about your group at an appropriate moment in the next 5 minutes? Okay, amazing. So I was supposed to be presenting with Kiosha Love, who unfortunately is stuck on a plane right now, but she's on her way here. So I'm only supposed to talk to 3 minutes, so that gives us a little extra time to talk about some of our groups. So I'm here on behalf of the DIY Space project, which was an initiative of the festival Long Winter, which is a DIY music and arts festival in Toronto, Canada. We are also pay what you can and all ages. We came out of the hardcore punk scene, but we're now a pretty eclectic conduit into the vast array of different DIY and underground and experimental music and arts scenes in the city. Toronto is an extremely diverse place. We have no shortage of talent and genres and subcultures, and Long Winter presents them. Toronto is a very hard like many cities, very hard place to find space in which to present work. We're a nomadic festival ourselves. We've had events in, that is a mall, the Galleria Mall. The last picture was from a parking lot. We sort of find spaces where we can to make things happen. The space issue in Toronto is nothing short of a crisis. Affordability and accessibility of space in the city is a major issue. Gentrification and the delocation of communities, major issue. Cultural spaces and affordability, major issue. So especially in the DIY and grassroots scenes, we've really suffered from a lack of spaces, from a closure of spaces, from a city with a dense residential structure that makes it difficult to make noise sometimes, and also just a place where it is not very affordable to have space. So it can be very hard for groups outside of large institutions that are established to find and keep space. So Long Winter developed this initiative, the DIY Space Initiative, so that we weren't just talking about these issues of space. We just presented a conference around space. We wanted to actually do something tangible. So we found 3 collectives in the city who are doing incredible work with very large, engaged communities. And one of them is Rise, and Rise is one of our participants. And Marissa, maybe you can tell us about Rise far better than I can. So I'm gonna hand it over to Marissa for 30 seconds, who's gonna tell you about what Rise does.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa. I am the current event manager at Rise. We are based in Toronto, and as Amy said, space is very difficult there. What we do is we like to bridge the gap between education and entertainment. So we try to provide safe spaces for artists, creatives, what we like to call intelligent souls. RISE stands for Reaching Intelligent Souls Everywhere. So we try to provide safe spaces, creative spaces, workshops, personal development, creative development, for artists. We try to bridge the gap between emerging and professional and try to help our creatives, the multiple talented individuals in our city, whether it's spoken word, music, poetry, dance, anything visual art. We try to give them opportunities, and we do multiple events over the pandemic. We unfortunately lost our space, but we moved virtual, where we did 45 open mics last year virtually on Zoom, and we're continuing to do that, and we do a bunch of workshop series for artists to learn how to make themselves into businesses and corporations. So yeah, that is Rise. I'm very excited to be here, and we're here looking for ways to use our space or find space and redefine it as well. So yeah, that is Rise.
Thank you, Marissa. Rise is also Scarborough-based, which is a suburb in Toronto, which there are a lot of immigrant communities in that area. It's been historically tragically under-resourced and under-serviced by the city, but there's an unbelievable range of talent. Their group is they're very young, but they're all incredible. So we're working with Rise on our other two collectives, one of which is our Women's Voices, which I'm about to tell you about. We are pairing them with a specially curated cross-sector group of advisors with representation from real estate, policy, and planning to help them over like a 9 to 12 month period on their path to finding space wherever they are in that journey. The other group, one of our other two collectives is our Women's Voices, who cannot be here today. So I'm just gonna read some notes from Kiosha. Our Women's Voices amplifies marginalized voices and makes social change with and for women using arts education and community organizing. They work with an intersectional feminist lens, and they challenge social norms and systems that promote violence against women. So they're dedicated to creating all women's spaces by women, for women. They've presented over 75 events now with 100 plus attendees prior to COVID. This is one of the cultural events they had at a gallery space. They have over 10,000 followers on Instagram. They've done incredible work generating a community of support, and they're facilitating conversation online as well as offline. Our third collective is Hearth. They're a contemporary art project space. Also, all these three groups are all young people, relatively speaking, and they're all amazingly engaged. Hearth was running a contemporary art space out of a garage that they got evicted from. You can even get evicted from a garage in Toronto, and they're presently seeking other space. But they've also used that garage in lots of creative and smart ways, really making use of an unusual sort of space. No heat, no running water, and they've been programming pretty regularly for a few years now, almost an event, at least one event, if not two every month. So this is the project that we have underway in Toronto. We're focused on, number one, finding space for these three groups. Number two, generating advocacy and research to affect change, policy change at a municipal level in our cities, each of these three groups. This process is being documented and analyzed to provide some policy recommendations. And hopefully we can, in being here with you all and benefiting from this exchange, and learn from you and be able to take your examples back with us to our city. Thank you so much.
Seven minutes are quite demanding, isn't it? Thank you for your speeches. So let me repeat. Tomáš from Koga Studio, Anna Gimplova from Prague City Hall and Prague City Gallery, Dominik Vontor from Kinedoc Institute of Documentary Film, Adam Langer from Sladovna Písek, Zuzana Ernst from Brunnen Passage, and Amy Gottung with her colleague from Long Winter and our Women Voices. Thank you very much. I would like to mention that European Commission announced last year the initiative of New European Bauhaus, and their motto is to make the space, cities more beautiful, more sustainable, and more inclusive. So this is the topic of our focal point, which is now over. Thank you for TH that we could be the partners. Thank you very much, Lida. Thank you for Alta Studio that they so brave and courageous that they could make this this meeting happen. I'm really impressed. Thank you for your attention.